Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Social Media Today, brought to you by Social Cycle. We talk about all things social media, news, tips, tricks, and hacks to help you get the full advantage of social media. I'm your host, Mohit. Cool. Well, today I have a very good friend of mine. His name is Daniel. He runs a Twitter account that helps him sell cold email services. But I have a lot of things to say about you. Daniel, why don't you introduce yourself?
What's up, guys? My name is Daniel. I run a Twitter account called Cold Email Wizard. The at is Black Hat Wizard with two D's. And basically, what I do on it is I sell courses on how to send cold emails the correct way to get clients without spamming and whatnot. And it does get you clients as well. So I run a business where I send cold emails for other people, but I also sell a course on it. So a lot of the times, people who buy the course actually end up becoming a client. So it's really interesting. So Twitter's a great place to do it.
Interesting. So, I mean, people say like you have to engage a lot on Twitter. And I mean, like a lot of these gurus like Gary Vee and all that, they're like, oh, engage, engage, engage. What's your definition of engagement?
Yeah. So there's a lot of people on Twitter who will sell how to grow on Twitter guides. And basically what they say is reply to a lot of people, quote tweets, like do a lot of engaging. And yeah, okay. Now, there's this thing that Russell Brunson made. It's called the Dream 100. And what the Dream 100 basically is find 100 people and comment on their stuff a lot. And I don't like the concept of like, oh, engage, engage, engage. That shouldn't be your goal to engage. Your goal should be to make friends with people. And that is inherently how you grow things in the first place. So when people say like engaging is the tactic with which you accomplish that, yes, but it's not enough. So it's like the fundamental behind it is actually become friends with people. Now, when you do that, you have to be an interesting person in the first place, right? And like on social media, let me say this. The only thing that's going to grow you on social media is if you are a useful person in the first place. So like what is the function with which you want to grow your social media in the first place? Right? So like you might be trying to get clients or you might be trying to sell a course or something like that. Now, the only thing you can do is educate people on something, right? So I can engage all I want, but if my tweet timeline is absolute garbage and I don't show anything of use in the first place, no one's gonna reply back. So this is what you need to focus on in the first place, is have something to give to people in the first place. Like be useful.
So, like, show value. I mean, so like value, everyone in today's day and age, like, even in sales too, they're like, oh, you need to quote, show value. What's like, what is defined as value? Or like, what is like one example, like, what's one concrete example of value?
Yeah. So let me tell you what I do on Twitter. That's going to give you a good breakdown of this. So I on Twitter you do this thing where you make threads, and a thread is basically I did this. Now I'm going to show you how to do it in this thread. And a thread is created by just replying to the previous tweet. So it's just a long tweet thread, right? So in the month of August, I think I've made like 13 threads. And they're really good threads. It's like, okay, I have this problem. Here's how to solve the problem step by step. And that's what value is. Value is giving somebody the resources with which they could take that and accomplish it by themselves. And you will vicariously attract people who want the more in-depth kind of thing, which would otherwise be your service or your course, right? So it's when someone says give value, it's educating. It's like showing them the exact specifics with which you are accomplishing something. So it's like say you run a business where you help people grow on Instagram. I'm just using this as an example. Well, how do you do it? You can't just say, "Oh, I grow on Instagram," or look at all these people I grew their Instagram for. It's like, okay, now you show me how that you did grow someone's Instagram, like a screenshot before and after. Like I got this person this many followers and in this time period. Here's how you do it. Thread, right? Show the exact specifics with which you accomplish that sufficiently enough so that they could take what's in the thread, which is free, and accomplish it themselves. That's value.
Okay, so you're basically giving like a play-by-play then of how someone should grow. Or, I mean, if you're selling a service, then you're offering free insight then, from what I understand.
Correct. Yeah. And what a lot of people might be thinking is, oh, I don't want to show my secrets. Well, good luck getting people into your funnel without piquing the interest in the first place. It's not happening. So if you're sitting here thinking, I don't want to reveal my secrets because someone's going to steal your business, I promise you, no one's going to steal your business, right? Because you got the fundamentals and you've got the intricacies with which you accomplish your service, right? So the fundamentals are what you're showing for free. Well, you want to do this, and you want to format your video in this way, and like the fundamental of it, and obviously the intricacies behind it, such as, oh, what software do you use? What buttons do you click on the software? That's what you would include in your service or course, right? So you're not revealing the intricacies. You're revealing the fundamentals with which you accomplish the goal.
Okay. So don't, I mean, I guess the key for the audience is don't show everything that you have, but give like a basic framework then.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it has to be information enough where someone gets a very clear, concrete understanding of how to do it. And like, say you've got a service and you've got, I don't know, say there's like 6 different puzzle pieces to your service. Like you have to do this first, and then this first, and then this first, and then this first. We'll make 6 threads on how to do each of those individually.
Okay. And then so like as a result of these tweet threads, like what happens after? I mean, like what's been your personal experience with it?
Yeah, so far it's the 22nd day of August right now, and I've been on Twitter for I think just over 3 months. And so far in August, I've done $10,000 sales on a course that teaches people how to send cold emails. And people are telling me all the time, they're on the timeline, they're saying, "Oh my God, bro, your tweets are so awesome," and that is inherently because I'm being useful. Like I'm showing, here's what you do, here's what you do, here's what you do, and then the course shows that the intricacies of it all. Like I go in and I show you, here's what you do. You do this, 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 point by point, video recordings, like showing you exactly how to do it to expedite the process even further. Could you accomplish the goal with which I'm saying just from the tweets? Yes, you could, but it's going to take longer, right? It's going to be more difficult for you to go down my timeline and try to aggregate all of these things together by yourself. Or you could just buy the course, have it in one cohesive format, and then you accomplish the goal 10 times quicker, right? And that's how you should be presenting your services on social media. You need to, because the only thing that's going to get people's attention in the first place is usefulness, right? You need to show them what you're doing, like show the process. It's the only way. Like no one's going to buy your stuff if you don't do that. It's just not happening. You're not going to get the traffic in the first place. Like people need to be sufficiently impressed that they like and retweet it, or if they're on Instagram, like it, share it with their friends, right? And then now they're in your funnel. And like I don't know what the sales cycle is for people on Twitter, but it's like the average. I wouldn't buy something immediately, right? But then they start following you, they see your tweets, and then I mean it might be like 30 days until they decide, okay, I'm going to pull the trigger on this, and that whole time you've been tweeting every single day, right?
Well, you have to warm up your audience, obviously. Like, I mean, with Twitter, you're not like when it comes to shopping for courses, you're not window shopping. You're not seeing whatever you like. I've personally bought maybe like 1 or 2 courses, and that's because I was super careful with it and I saw what other people have to say. Granted, on Twitter, though, I know that there's a lot of bots, and I'm also wary of like fake reviews and all that stuff because I do my due diligence as a consumer. But I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, like, I mean, if I think what the course is going to, if I think that the course is going to help me, and if I see a ton of people saying, "Oh, hey, here's my success," then I'm inclined to do it. And if they also, as a user, if they also have like tweet threads, or if they're like responding and interacting with you, then I'm likelier to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So you've said that you've made 10 grand in the month of August alone, and it's not even the end of the month.
Yeah, we still got 9 days left.
And
So
it's all organic traffic.
Yeah, this is all organic. I've not spent $1 on ads. This was all organic. Me just being a useful person. And now what happens is I've made all these friends on Twitter, like guys with tens of thousands of followers. And this is another thing too. Unless you are extremely useful, somebody with a lot of traffic on their own, who has their own audience, is not going to engage with you unless they really, really know that you know what you're talking about. And you probably, like, if you're selling a service, let's just get this out of the way, right? So if you're selling a service, you better be an absolute expert at what you're talking about. You better have something that works, right? So let's just get that off the bat. Don't even bother if what you have sucks. Like, it has to be good. And you might have this kind of like this doubt in your mind, oh, it might not be good. Well, why don't you go do it for free for a couple people, right? If you that's if you have 0 clients, right? But
Yeah.
if you've got a bunch of clients, you got amazing case studies. Well, it's pretty clear at that point that what you do works, right?
Do you ever show like screenshots of like some of the case studies, or like how do you showcase some of your past work?
Yeah. So what I do is, like, I've got a pinned thread on my profile right now. So it shows as the first thing. And it's a case study I have with a client that I actually got from Twitter. And within 7 weeks, I got him 35 sales calls with $1 million brands, right? So what I did in the thread was I showed at the top, it's 2 months ago, I started working with this guy. And in 7 weeks, we got him 35 sales calls. Here's exactly what we did, thread. And then inside of the thread, I go, well, here's the subject line we used first, and that worked right away. And then I started making these angles inside of the cold emails, and it didn't work. So I made all these angles, and on the 12th campaign, we hit something that worked really well. I showed them where I was scraping the email addresses to do it. I showed them the structure with which I wrote the email. I didn't give the exact wording of the email because people would just steal it. But it's just the basic outline of it. Here's what we did, step by step by step by step. And it's just pinned to my profile. So now whenever someone visits my profile, they see, oh, they instantaneously know that, oh, what I do works. And I tagged the guy in it too. So this is social proof right here because he replied to it and said, yeah, this works. So instant, they know like what I do works, right? And that's what you need to have too, right? And what'll happen is, like, if you're selling a course or you're selling a service, somebody is going to say something publicly. They're going to be like, oh my God, this was so good. You got to go buy that. And that's when it really starts to pick up, is when someone tweets on their own without you asking them that your stuff works. You retweet it, bam, all your followers see it. And now it's going to start to compound. They start buying it. They start doing the same thing. And that's what's happening now. Like, so many people are saying, oh my God, this is amazing. Go get it. Go get it. And then, like, that's just how it works, bro. Like, if you've got a good service,
It'll sell itself. So I mean, you've grown like, I think you're at what, almost 3,000 followers.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna pull it up right now and give you the exact stats so everyone can hear it. I'm gonna go to my Twitter analytics, and I started tweeting on this account. It says the creation date of the account is November 2014, but this was just an old account I decided to start tweeting on. So I actually started tweeting on like May 20th, 2020. Now it's August 22nd. So May, June, July. It's been 3 months. It's been like, yeah. So my first month on Twitter, let me go down here. I'm going to give you the exact stats. My first month on Twitter, I got 142 followers. June, the second month, I had 413 new followers. July, I had 710 new followers. August, this month, I've had 1,479 followers, right? So this starts to compound because you have more followers. They start liking you, replying to you, right? It just goes really fast. So I haven't been doing this that long. And yeah, now I'm going to break $10,000 in course sales
in a
on Twitter.
month. And like, I mean, like, your average price for your course isn't high. I think it's like what, like 25, $30, something like that.
It's $45, but then there's like other supplemental materials. I use Gumroad to sell the course. And then, like, I've made other courses too. So like, I've got how to send cold emails, and I've got how to make a cold email business like me. And then I've got how to scrape email addresses from Instagram. And then people can package these together and buy them together So the base, how to send cold emails is $45, but if you package all those together, it's 99. And like legitimately 30% of people get the 99 version.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, packaging has always been a retail trick. I mean, it's an amazing value creation from goods you already have. You're basically creating value out of thin air. That's what I like to think.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, how have you optimized your profile though? I'm curious to hear that.
Yeah. So when someone visits your profile, you want to make it abundantly clear what exactly you do. So I'm going to read my bio now. I changed it a lot, but right now it says, I teach you how to sell services with cold email, helped 200 plus people. You will get clients if you do what I say. And this is true because so many people have been like, oh my God, I did what you said. And I got 3 sales calls and like 45 emails. I'm like, oh, okay, great job. Like that was good. And it's like instantaneous too. It's like you make one change. There's like a couple intricacies, obviously, that I go through in the course, but you make one change and it works, right? So in terms of optimizing your profile, here's what on Twitter specifically, here's what you want to have. You want in your bio, tell them immediately what you do. So I teach you how to sell services with cold email. And I make that clear. I sell services with cold email. It's not, I teach you how to send cold emails because I don't teach people how to spam cold emails and like sell B2C products. This is for B2B service sellers only. I make that very clear, right? And then
Mhm.
it's helped 200 plus people, social proof, and then call to action. You will get clients if you do what I say. Point down to the link that's in my bio. And then another thing you want to have more social proof, right? So my pinned thread is a case study with a client where I tag him. It has 21 retweets, 66 likes on it. And then every time someone visits my profile, that's the first thing they see. So now they know instantaneously, oh, what you do works. And it does.
Quick question: how did you come up with ideas for threads? Because I'm in the position where I want to grow, and I've got several different niches that I gravitate towards, but I'm sort of figuring out like where I want to go in the Twitter space. So I mean, just a word of advice for like me, some of the other listeners out there. How do you get inspired by threads, or inspired to figure out which threads to create?
Yeah, so this is what I started out doing when I first made the Twitter account. I didn't have anything in the bio at first at all. And then I was just tweeting about cold email. And like it took maybe like a week for people to start like following me and like asking questions. And when someone would ask the question, I made a free product on Gumroad, basically just dumped everything in there. And then people would download it and then they would hit you up with more questions. So I made like a follow-up email where I'd be like, hey, what other questions do you have? I want to help you. So people started asking all these questions, like a bunch of them. And then what you do at that point is you just answer the questions, right? So not, you've got like 35 different questions. So it's like, oh, okay, well, like some of them are the same questions. And now you know, like, oh, people have this question. So let me make a thread on that question. And that's it.
And how do you decide which thread you want to pin? Like, do you keep one pin thread, or do you keep cycling through them, or do you sometimes retweet your old threads to get it back on the TL, or what?
Yeah. So I had like when I first started, I had like this master thread. I think it was like 20 tweets long, where it's basically here's how to do everything with cold email, like A to Z. Here's how you do it. And that was a pretty high thread. Like it worked very well. But then I decided, let me do the one with social proof, like the case study. It's kind of like just more credibility. Like, yeah, this works here. Here's evidence with which shows that. Um, and then you'll decide which threads get pinned by the one with the most retweets, right? And then here's
Yeah.
another thing with Twitter specifically. I use an app called Hype Fury to schedule my tweets, and you
Mhm.
can also schedule retweets inside of Hype Fury. So what I'll do is at every single thread I make, I write the word thread in it in all caps. So I can go back and find all of my threads if I just go into the Twitter search bar, type my username, and write thread. And then I see every single thread I've ever made. I did that specifically for that. So if you go on Twitter right now and you type Black Hat Wizard with 2 D's, space, thread, all caps, you're going to see every single thread I've ever made, right? And then
Mhm.
what I'll do occasionally is I'll go into Hype Fury and I'll schedule those threads to retweet all the time. So now like all my new followers are getting exposed to that thread too, and they keep seeing like, oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about.
Huh. I guess it's a little social media hack for all the listeners out there.
Mm-hmm.
When you were first starting out, how did you like find like what made you keep tweeting? Because a lot of people they'll tweet and no one will respond. They won't grow their following. They'll get discouraged and they'll quit Twitter. Like, what sort of advice do you have for them?
Yeah, so like what we were talking about earlier, like reply to 5 people a day, quote retweet, and when I say reply to a lot of people, don't just say, "Oh, this is cool." Like you look like a dunce if you do that. Like you gotta like make a concrete statement of like I remember some people they would make like copywriting threads, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I read this book from Gary Halpert, and here's something interesting he said." And then like you just talk about what you know, like add on to what they said, something that is useful, right? So that's the functions with which you actually say your replies. And here's what really happened was for like because it was like 2 months until I got like 1,000 followers or something like that. And when you're below 1,000 followers, that's really when you need to like be replying, engaging a lot. Like you need to just be talking to a lot of people. And like it just takes time for the big guys to see like, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. And then when you get like 1,000, you don't really have to do that anymore because like it doesn't even matter what you tweet. Like it just gets a lot of likes and retweets. Like I tweet anything and it's like gonna get at least 20 likes every single time. Like always.
Yeah. Do you have a certain criteria of like tweet that you retweet, or I mean, do you just kind of retweet whatever you find funny, helpful, useful?
Yeah, so I definitely show my personality in this. Like I'm not a robot. It's not just cold email. Like I'm I definitely put some humor in there because I'm talking to my friends at this point now. So like make that distinction very clear. You're coming onto Twitter to be social and have friends. You're not this isn't an engagement pool where it's just like robotic. Like you have friends now and you're speaking to your friends, right? So um something I like to do is if I tweet something related to cold email and it kind of takes off, what I'll do is I'll reply to that tweet with a link to my course. And then what I'll do is and this is outside of the thread, so it's like a singular tweet just
Hmm.
related to cold email. I'll reply to it with the link to the course, and then I'll retweet the top thread. I'll schedule retweets of that for like the next month too, because
And
you're getting all these new followers. They didn't see that tweet, and now you just retweeted it, and now they see the tweet, and now there's like I said something related to cold email, now they're like, oh, well, like I still have this gap. And then they see that the course is plugged under it. So they're like, oh, let me go check this out. And then now they read the landing page and then bam, there you go. You're going to get a conversion eventually.
when you were first starting out, like, so when you were like reaching out to some of these quote bigger accounts, like, did you? I mean, no one's going to respond to an initial like just response. Did you like? So like you quote retweeted. How did you sort of like identify those like accounts to engage with? Did you have
Yeah.
like a dream 10 basically, or?
Yeah. So what I did originally was I would just search keywords on Twitter. I'd be like copywriting or make money or or email marketing or something like that. Then I would just follow those guys. And like I would see like what are they do I like what they're saying? Like do they have an engaging count? Do they have a good audience too? Right? So it's kind of are you interested in that account yourself? And if I was, I would continue following them. If they kind of sucked, I would just stop following them, you know? And if I liked what they said, I would like it and then I would reply and be like, "Oh, like add some value under it." And you have to do that for a really long time, like a month and a half. It really starts to pick up like after that, right? So like you might be gaining like maybe like 3 to 5 followers per day when you're doing all those when you're
And
doing all those things. What you want to do originally, like if you make a new Twitter account brand new from nothing, is
yeah,
make a thread. Like just dump everything you know into a thread. It might be a little messy, but that's just and pin it on your profile, right? So now, like, if someone does click your profile, they see like, oh, this guy might tweet more like this. So let me go ahead and make sure I'm following him in the case that he does.
Okay. So that's helpful. So for all the new viewers out there, if you were to create a new Twitter, do you recommend that everyone be on Twitter?
I think the average IQ on Twitter is astronomically higher than Instagram. And the reason why is because Twitter really forces you to be extremely concise with how you present your ideas because it's only 280 characters. And then I feel like Instagram is just a bunch of garbage. Like this is what's so restricting about Instagram is that you have to post a picture, right? So
Yeah.
if you're going to be trying Instagram, post videos because that's just like a video platform. But I like Twitter because I'm not visual. Like, I just like to talk. Like I can write well. And now when you tweet a lot, you start to think in tweets. Like literally your mind thinks in tweets. Like, oh, how do I structure this into a tweet? And that kind of just happens. What you'll learn is like you're following the good accounts that you like and they're tweeting all the time. And you see the structure with which they write things. And then you learn from the structure of that. Like another thing with Twitter is like you don't want to write paragraphs. It's like sentence, double return sentence, right? So now you have a space between. It has to be easy to actually read what you wrote, and this goes to like copywriting books too,
Yeah.
right? You gotta present your ideas in like a very easy to digest format.
I mean, like with Twitter expanding their character base to 280 characters, I feel like it's helped a lot of people. 140, I don't think was in. Excuse me. I don't think 140 was enough, but 280. I mean, it's enough to get maybe what like 3, 4 sentences, if that, and it helps you show stuff too. Like I mean, one of my my pin thread right now is I'm buying a 20-unit apartment building
Mm-hmm.
across the country. And I've only seen it once, and I'm sort of going step by step by step for, hey, here's what's going wrong with it. Here's what I like. Here's what the property looks like. All this stuff. But like
Mm-hmm.
the goal, I mean, right now I only have 280 followers, but the goal is to just to prove to people, hey, I'm legit. Here's the property that I bought. And I mean, it's like when people first see my page, that's that. I have nothing in my bio just yet. If I wanted to sell a course, I could.
Yes. So common misconception here is people might think, oh, I don't want to go follow people in my same niche because I'm competing with them. Yeah, no, don't remove that concept from your mind because that's not true, right? So like
Mhm.
you're doing real estate investment. So like in your case, you're gonna go follow a bunch of real estate investors and start
Yeah.
liking their stuff and commenting under it, and that's what you do. And now you're leveraging their audience, right? And then if you're posting real stuff too, they're gonna see that you're legit, and now they follow you and they start engaging with you back. So this is kind of like social construct thing. It's like no one's gonna reply to your tweets or retweet your stuff or like your stuff if you're not doing it first. It's not happening. And like what I would have a lot is, oh, say there's like a big account. Like I would retweet and comment on their stuff might take like 10, 15 times until they finally follow you back. Like just keep doing it. Like because you'll find when you have a lot of followers, you're getting a lot of stragglers too. And like it just takes a couple impressions, like a couple replies for you to like notice them. That's just how it works. Like it's not personal. Like just keep doing it. Keep
Yeah.
liking and commenting and adding value to them, and they're gonna notice you eventually.
Do you think that the real magic of Twitter though happens in the DMs?
No.
Really?
Yeah, you can. I think the DMs are for becoming even more friends with the people you already like, right? So, like, say you've got your dream 100, you've identified 100 people who you really like. Might not be 100, might be 20. Now, like, if you post something interesting or they post something, hit them with a DM. Like, maybe ask them a question, like, "Yo, that was really cool. You might want to check this out," or something like that, and like, just becoming friends with people. In terms of like selling things, Normally I don't really sell in the DM. People just buy it. Like they just do because there's so many people who are just posting now. We're like, dude, your course is great, and like I retweet it, and now they all see that, and then like every day I'm posting straight value, like do this with your cold emails. I didn't think it was possible to tweet 3 to 5 times per day about cold email, but here we are 3 months in, and I'm still doing
I mean,
it.
you made 10 grand, dude, off courses. Like that's 10 grand is like a livable wage. That is a lot of money for
Yeah,
someone who's been on Twitter for 3 months. I'm very curious to see like where you'll go in like another 2 months.
yeah, dude. I had a personal account too. I saw too many people posting their Gumroad screenshots, making like 30,000 a month. I was like, dude, I know how to send cold emails. Like every time I do it in the fashion with which I do it for my clients, it works. So it was like, I have to be able to sell a course on this. I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen? It doesn't work. So let me just stick with this for 2 months. Like you can't, you need 2 months, right? And you can't be like, oh, I'm going to do this for a week and peace out. Like it doesn't work like that. Like it does not. Like, you need to stick with it consistently for 2 months, right? If you really, really want it, you're going to do it for 2 months.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with that. I feel like people quit too early in the game. And I mean, like ultimately, like Twitter is just for fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No one's asking you to tweet. No one's asking you to be on this beautiful social Flappy Bird network. I love this app, by the way.
Mhm.
If it weren't for Twitter, Daniel, I wouldn't have met. I would have. There's like a lot of friends that I would not have met if it wasn't for Twitter. And I mean, like it goes to say, like, what do you think, like the how deep these like friendships are? Like, I mean, would they say that they're deeper than your real life friends?
Yeah, yeah, I would at this point, honestly, because like me and you were boys, and
Yeah,
like we started following each other when I had less than like 100 followers. Like, and you probably saw I had a pinned thread up there, so you're like, oh, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about. I think you shot me a DM first, and then we were just talking, and we're
yeah,
like, hey, let's get in a Zoom call, and then we talked in the Zoom call, and now like we're friends. Like
yeah, yeah.
that's how it works.
I think our first interaction was so I work in tech sales, enterprise tech sales, and I do a lot of cold email. And previously I had a social media agency selling Facebook ads to local businesses, and then I had a content site. So I was like pretty familiar with cold email. We'd follow the same YouTubers, and I was like, huh, this guy's content looks pretty familiar. And then we just started like talking, and then it went down in the DMs. Now we're friends.
Yeah, yeah. So like if you make friends in the DM. So let me stress the importance of that like a lot because like and this is especially true with like a lot of the guys who have like a lot of followers. It's like if you're showing people you know what you talk about, you know what you're talking about, then like these big guys are gonna be interested in speaking with you because they know you're a killer, right? They
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel, so for the podcast, do you have any like parting words? Do you like if people want to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Yeah. So if you want to find me, go on Twitter, Black Hat Wizard with 2 D's. Um, if you want to learn about cold email, dude, there you go. I tweet about it all the time.
Cool. All right. Well, Daniel, thank you. I appreciate you being the first guest on social media today. Listeners, please follow me at Business Guy 12. Tweet at me if you have any improvements for the podcast. And that sums it up for the first guest. Tell me how you like it. Please rate us 5 stars everywhere you get your podcast. Thank you for listening. This is Mohit. I'm signing off. Please rate us 5 out of 5 stars on wherever you get your podcast, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, whatever it is. Thank you, and I hope that you have a great day. Please sign up for the beta at socialcycle.io.